Hello students, I'll be taking business statistics and mathematics for this semester. Under that first chapter, Introduction to Statistics. Before knowing the meaning of statistics, let us know from where the statistics word have been derived. The word statistics have been derived from the Latin word status or the Italian word statista or the German word statistic, each of which means a political state. So in the Latin word it is status, Italian word statista, German word statistic. Now each of the meaning of this is political state. Why they have kept it as political state is the statistics has been used by the government for the collection of data for example population, data related to population, or data related to the number of people with under poverty, etc. So only the government officials used to use statistics in the collection of data. So the word statistics is being the meaning of the statistics is political state. The term statistics was first used by Godfrey Entwistle, a professor at Melbourne in 1749, to refer to the subject matter as a whole. Okay, it was being introduced by our professor in 1749. This is how the word statistics came into an existence, from where it has been derived, and for what it is being used. It is being used by the government offices for the collection of data. Now let us see what is the meaning of statistics. A simple meaning of statistics is statistics means a numerical set of data, and when used in singular sense it means the science of statistical method embodying the theory and techniques used for collecting, analyzing and drawing inferences from the numerical data. It is a set of data, that is nothing but the information you collect. What this information is, it has to be collected first, then it has to be analyzed and drawing the inferences. Inferences means what is the result of it, like the poverty rate in India, or the poverty rate in Mangalore, or the poverty rate in Karnataka. So this is what they collect, the information of each and every household and find out the income of each and every household. That is called as collecting the data. After that they analyze means they find out what is the rate, how much percent of the people are under poverty, the people who are above poverty line, below poverty line. Then they draw the inferences, that is conclusion, that what is the proportion of above poverty rate and below poverty rate. So statistics is nothing but collecting the information, and that information is being used for the development of a particular country or a particular state. Okay, so it is not of information is collected of one person, 2 person or 3 person. It is of lakhs of people. They visit the houses and collect the information, and then they analyze it, and then they find out the result of it, and they submit it to the government, and accordingly the government take actions or prepare policies to develop the country. Definition of statistics. Let us see what is the definition of statistics. According to the Bowley, he defines statistics. Statistics are numerical statement of a fact in any department of inquiry placed in relation to each other. It is a numerical statement. It is in the form of numbers. Okay, it is in the form of numbers, where the information has been collected. Number, as I've given you the example of the population of the country. The population you count, when you count, you will get in numbers. Okay, so according to him, it is a numerical statement of fact in any department. You take any department, whether it is forestry department or home and affairs departments, then women's development department or child development department. So different department we have in the government sectors. So these sectors will collect the numerical data related to their policies for enquiry placed in relation to each other. So they, in order to enquire, in order to take up the decision. Okay, like the educated and uneducated people in India, how much, what is the education rate in India. Okay, so this is the information collected by the education department, where they collect the number of people educated and number of people uneducated. So that is the enquiry placed, where they'll get the information in terms of numbers. According to the Bowley, it is a numerical statement. Now let us see what does the Croston and Cowden statement says. According to him, what is statistics? He says that it is a science which deals with the collection, analysis and interpretation of numerical data. It is a science which deals with, what it deals, first is collection. You have to collect the data. Any departments, they need the data to take up the strategies or planning. They need data. So data can be collected. So the first step in the statistics is collection. You have to collect the data from various sources, then analyze it. Then after collecting, you have to analyze what has happened, what is the result, etc. Interpretation is finally coming to a result and finally giving up a conclusion about your report, about your data, about your information collected. Okay, so according to him, it is a science which deals with analysis, collection first, then analysis, then interpretation of numerical data. This is what a statistics word means according to the Bowley, then Croston and Cowden. Now next concept under statistics, you have collection of data. Now what does this data means and how these informations are to be collected? The word data means a collection of numerical observation of known fact is called as a data. What is that? It is a numerical observation. You have to collect the data in terms of numbers. It means which can be expressed in terms of numbers. Some of the information or data we cannot collect in terms of numbers. Like the honesty of a people, we cannot measure in terms of numbers. A beauty of a person, we cannot measure in terms of a number. Okay, so which are the things which can be measured in terms of numbers of known fact? The fact is that the fact or the information which can be collected in terms of numbers is called as data. Now, in other words, it means are facts, figures or information which are numerically expressed. Data may be obtained either from primary or the secondary source. Now while collecting, the first step as per the definition and as per the meaning is collection. Now you know what is data. Data is nothing but it is numerical numbers or it is a numerical fact. Now this data can be collected or can be obtained from two sources. They are primary source and secondary source. Now let us see what is primary source and what is secondary source. A primary source is a one that itself collects the data. Primary is first hand data. It is called as first hand data. It means when you visit the field, you meet a particular people or you meet a particular area and collect the information. Okay, it is first hand data. It is not from the another person you are collecting. It is you only go and visit the particular area or particular field and collect the data. That is primary source. Secondary source is a one that makes use of available data. Secondary source is also called as second hand data. It means somebody have collected the data and they have maintained a record and kept in the government office or some in the libraries or in some particular place wherein you go and use that information for your purpose. Okay, it is not your visiting a particular field or visiting a particular area and collecting the information. Somebody have already collected and you are using that information for your survey, then it is called as secondary source. So the main difference between primary and secondary is primary source is a first hand data. You directly visit a field and find out the data. Secondary source is a second hand data wherein you don't visit the field, somebody have done the survey, you use that information for your purpose. This is how the meaning of primary source and secondary source. For example, population census carried out by Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India constitute primary source for that particular ministry. If that particular ministry, for example, population census has to be found out through every 5 years. So these department collects the data, then it is called as the primary data. The data made available through various publication, any users make use of published source will constitute a secondary data. These population information the Ministry of Affairs will collect, they are considered as primary data. After collecting, they publish in a newspapers or from any of the journals, etc. And that information if you use, then it is called as secondary source. So first hand data and second hand data. So the collection of data, there are two types. They are primary data and secondary data. Now let us study in detail what is primary data and what are the methods of collecting primary data. Now if you see the meaning of primary data are the fresh data collected directly by an investors from the field. They are first hand data. So as I have told you, it is a fresh data, it is a first hand data, it is directly collected from the field. Such data are original in character and are generated in a large number of surveys conducted by government, individuals, institutions and research bodies. Primary data are costly, their collection consumes more time and labor. Of course, because you visit a field and find out the information. So it is costly, little bit costly, because you have to invest the money, you have to recruit a people wherein they will collect the information, you have to pay for them. So primary data is costly compared to secondary data, and it takes more time and labor because it is a direct field visit. You have to use laborers to collect it, so we have to pay for them. It takes time, they have to visit, collect information, then upload it, so it takes time. So it is one of the drawbacks of this primary data is it is little bit costly as well as time consuming, and more laborers are required. Now let us see the methods of collecting primary data. There are 6 methods of collecting primary data, wherein the first method is direct personal interview, indirect oral interview, information through correspondent, mailed questionnaire method, schedules sent through enumerators, direct personal interviews. These are the 6 methods of collecting the data from various users. Now let us see what is the meaning of first one by one. We have to study now what does it mean, what are the merits and demerits of each methods under a primary data. one thing is clear here. My primary data is a first hand data. It is directly collected from the field, where it is costly as well as time consuming. Now let us see the first one. It is direct personal interview. Direct personal interview method. Now what is this direct personal interview? This method consists in the collection of data personally by the investors from the sources concerned. Here the investor has to go to the field personally for making enquiries and collecting information from the informants or respondents. What does it mean is this, under this method, they visit the person personally. They go to the field and visit the person personally. Like it is a direct contact between the investigator and the concerned people. Okay, here the investigator has to go to the field personally for making enquiries and collecting information about from the informant or the respondent. Means the questioners will be kept ready. He will prepare the questions and he will visit the each and every household, like to know the census population, wherein he has to visit each and every house. Okay, so he will prepare questions. He will visit a particular each and every house and make a direct contact with the people and ask the information and make a note of it. So that is called as direct personal interview. Now let us see what are the merits and demerits of this methods. First one is it is reliable and accurate. Yeah, it is reliable. We can believe. Okay, the information which you have collected is directly contact, so it is correct, accurate. You get a correct information, so it is reliable and accurate. Second is response is likely to be more encouraging. Whatever the response you get is likely to be more encouraging. You are more encouraged if the people responds very well. You are encouraged. You collect more and more information, like from more and more people, and make your data more reliable. So that is further clarification may be given on questions. Sometimes if you would have a direct contact, if a particular person doesn't understand the question, you can clear the question. I mean, you can make them understandable. You can explain them what is the question, what does this question means, so that they may be able to give a correct answer for that question. So clarification is done immediately by a investigator from the correspondent or from the respondent. So these are the merits of direct personal interview. Now what is the meaning of what are the demerits of this method? Not suitable if large number of respondents are to interview. See, if you have to interview lakhs of people, okay, lakhs and crores of people, visiting each and every houses, it will be more time consuming. It takes 1 year. It may take 1.5 years. So the information may be biased, or the information may not be used for the purpose which they are going to collect. So it is not suitable where the number is very large. Next, not suitable if field of survey is wide. The same thing, if the number of the survey is very wide, the number of respondents are very wide, then it is very difficult. Costly and time consuming. It is, of course, it is time consuming. Each and every place or area they have to visit, they have to collect the information. It takes time. The salary should be paid to them, other expenses has to be given, so it is a costly process. Subjective in nature. Personal bias, prejudices, etc. of investigator may affect the findings of the inquiry. So personal bias, suppose he may write his personal information personally, like wrong information, not an accurate information is given on the inquiry, then it becomes a demerits. Investigator must be intelligent, tactful and skillful. Investigator should be intelligent, like some people are not willing to give information, so he must know how to convince with them and how to collect the information. Tactic he should know the skills, etc. To make some people are ready to share the information, some people may not be ready to share the information. At that time it is up to the investigator how he convince the person and collects the information. That is called as skill of an investigator. If he doesn't have those skills, it becomes a demerits. People may not give correct and accurate data or information, and that particular the statistics may go wrong. Okay, thank you. Now from second methods we will do in the next slide from the next class. Thank you.